Here we are again.
Again, here we are.
So today, I thought we'd talk as an English couple and coupling things about.
Today, you thought we'd do that.
Yeah, I thought we'd do that, seeing as it was recording. Holidays.
Holidays.
Yes, because couples go on holidays, don't they?
They do.
And it would be nice. We've been on the Thames on a boat this year, which was very nice. Internal holiday. Is that what it's called? A domestic holiday?
Staycation.
Oh, staycation.
A staycation. If you're going to get the lingo, get the lingo.
Yeah, but I would have thought staycation is stay at home, as in the home.
No,
Go.
stay in your...
In your what?
In your country.
In your box.
Yeah,
stay
in your box-cation.
Don't go anywhere else. So
there are all sorts of different types of, even with couples holidays, there's all sorts of different types. There's romantic, there's adventurous, there's a combination, there's...
combination holiday? What's that?
You get locked up? Romantic and adventurous.
Oh, I see, yes.
I don't know where you're going.
Well, I was thinking combination locks, and you lock up your partner and then you just sort of somewhere else. Obviously not. That's not what it was.
Well, that's all right. Don't worry. I won't do that to you.
Because some people go on holiday and they like to go to somewhere hot. If it's
right.
like in England, it's not necessarily known to be a hot place, although we have had some lovely summers. Yeah. And then they just plonk themselves by a pool with a book.
Well, see, there's that.
And get a tan.
There's either the resort type, go to a tropical place for the resort and stay on the resort, blah, blah, blah. But there's also people who will do that and they'll stay on the resort a little bit, but then they'll go and visit places.
Yes. And...
Sorry.
No, yes.
But there's also cruise ships. Lots of people at various ages. It tends to be the latter stages of life. But cruise ships, and there's all sorts of different ways you can do that, stay on board.
Yes.
Or keep going out and visiting all the ports.
See, it's interesting because, some people, I guess people do these holidays for all sorts of different reasons, don't they? Some people just want to sort of take a break and do nothing, as we said, sit by a pool or sit on a deck of a boat and let everybody else do everything for them. And other people want to go, do you know what, I sit in a cubicle all day at work.
I want to go throw myself off a bridge.
Yes,
with a
or
big
I want to.
Rubber
if I'm going on a boat,
to
I want to be putting up the mast.
Oh, the sails! I've done that.
Yeah,
loved it.
On a tall ship. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did it with the Prince's Trust.
Yeah,
thank you.
How old
King
were you?
Charles.
King Charles.
He wasn't the Prince of Wales then.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Longer than I'd like to mention, but no.
Yeah. When you were small.
About 15 years.
Yeah, you didn't do it for 15 years.
No, it was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, so that's not that long ago.
No. It was in my mid to late 20s.
Yes, it might seem long to you, but it's blink of
early
an eye
to mid 20s, something. I don't know. It was some time in my past.
Yes, but what an adventurous thing to do.
It was fantastic.
And to me, that's a holiday. To me, sitting down by a pool is something that I would find a bit... I like the sun, I like warm climate, and I like reading, but I can do that at home quite happily. But to get on a tall ship and cast the main brace and
cast the mainstay.
Yes, and all of that. Some people take the adventurous holiday to an extreme and go plodding off through Alaska and like
climb
Scott of Antarctic
and stuff.
Yes, or throw themselves off these things with
tall buildings. Oh,
with no parachutes and
the flying suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flying suits, thinking they're Batman or Robin.
I had a dream about one of them the other day, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's not go down
story.
there. Now you originally, when you were small, not originally, but when you were small, as we've said before, your parents went over to Saudi Arabia because they had worked. They're English parents, but they went over there because they had worked there, and they wanted
to buy a nice semi-detached house with a decent garden in England and south of England. Of course, it's never been particularly cheap.
No. But so here's a question then for you, because we're in a strange old world at the moment with all sorts of things going on. What do you think, and I know you haven't been back, but what do you think, is it a holiday? Can people go to Saudi Arabia and get on a magic carpet and fly around and enjoy it like you see?
Oh gosh, that would be awesome. And if that was the case, I'd say maybe maybe that would be worth doing.
For a couple, so thinking of a couple now, because couples could be any age, but for two people without kids, let's say, as opposed to a family, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'm two minds, because on one hand, I would love to go and see
the places
I kind of know and remember.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I kind of wouldn't want to adventure off a resort. I just want to stay in the safety of the resort.
Because there's problems with women and things, isn't
there?
I
found it very
different weird
confusing.
laws and things.
Yeah, women are not free. Full stop, you can't deny that.
No, they're expensive, I know that much. It's one thing you learn having a couple. Wah, wah, wah. Got to get them in when I can.
The Punch and Judy thing.
Yeah.
Ooh. My nan. Oh, Jack!
Yeah. That's the way to do it. Anyway, I haven't got any sausages, so...
Sausages. Sorry, no, that's something else.
Yeah, so Saudi Arabia is good for a couple, but stay on the resort.
But as a place, as a country,
yes.
It's absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. You've got all the beautiful, beautiful silken sands. Sorry,
That's all right.
And...
Silken sand, so the landscape is interesting because it's so diverse and different from us.
So different from here, I mean, here it's green, verdant and fertile. There it's a desert.
And is it
With
clean?
sand dunes.
Is it clean?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, the people and where you go, is it all clean? Because you could say over here, it can be clean, but it does depend where you go. And we have a lot of rubbish on the streets, and especially during COVID, if you remember, all the rubbish was because nobody was outdoors apart from people in cars, and they were strewing their rubbish. So you can get the sense that plastic bottles and crisp packets. But is it clean over there? I mean, I know you haven't been there.
I haven't been there for longer than I care to say.
Yeah,
30-something years.
Yeah.
But from my memory, and obviously I actually went back and lived in Kuwait a number of years later.
Right.
About 6 years later.
Yeah.
So that might be similar as well. But I mean, generally, as you might know, Saudi is quite a rich country. So the malls and the shopping centres, they're spick and span and spotless.
Yes.
But there are, of course, places where there would be a bit more rubbish built up. But
right.
I have no idea if it's any different now.
No, but it's guaranteed sunshine.
Yes.
Yes.
Guaranteed sunshine, palm trees, beaches.
Very nice. So apart from Saudi Arabia, then,
and
that's only sort of on the horizon because that's a bit of your background in
yes.
there. Where would you, if you could go anywhere in the world for a holiday, where would you go?
Well, there's lots of places that I would love to go. The Amazon rainforest. But
right.
Weirdly, I think that's just my love of nature and trees.
Yes.
But obviously, the reality of that is far different. That you can, until you're there
there
in
are
that
trips,
situation.
Aren't there? I mean, I imagine there are excursions, and you can go with people who know, and you can go on jungle trips and things like that. Which I don't know. I'm adverse to being eaten alive by crocodiles or bitten by snakes.
I'm not worried about the crocodiles and the snakes because as long as they're kind of, what they are and where they are and where to find them and what they're doing usually, although snakes might be a little bit more of a problem.
Yeah.
But crocodiles and alligators, they're in the water.
Well,
generally.
Of course they have signposts. Here's a crocodile.
Here's a croc and there's a croc.
And they all have clocks
they
inside
all have
them,
Facebook tags on them,
Yeah, and clocks.
So when you accidentally put your cursor over them, it goes, oh, crocodile. Never mind.
Yes. I'll say it one more time. Clocks.
Clocks.
Yes. Don't they? You're a Disney fan. Isn't it? I thought the crocodile had a clock in Peter Pan. Yes. Anyway, never mind all that. So the Amazon rainforest.
And there's all the lovely, wonderful places like the pyramids in Egypt.
Yes. There's over at Giza.
Yeah, there's the Incan ruins in South America.
So some of the big sort of wonders of the world.
The wonders of the world I would love to see, the fascination of life on this planet and what it's created.
My mum went to Egypt and she went to Giza. And she said to him, do you know where the pyramids are? And he said, it's just at the end of the street. And apparently, in Giza, you go to the end of this street. She was very miffed because she thought you'd have to get on a bus or get on a camel and
travel. No, you have to walk across the desert or get on a camel.
Yeah, or do that sort of thing. You just walked to the end of the road at Giza, and then there they were.
Oh, right.
3 great big pyramids, and of course the Sphinx. And so she was a bit miffed, and then she went
right next to the conurbation of
and so then because you get this glamorous image of what it's going to be like. Anyway, she went and she had a look round, and she said it would have been great. It's just the tourists, and this is one of the things. I mean, you go to Stonehenge in this country, and the tourists are everywhere, and you go anywhere. So I can imagine that back in the day of the Grand Tour, back in whenever that was, 18 something or other. Those days when people started as tourists began to go to places, not as explorers, but as tourists on Cook tours and things like that. It must have been fantastic because there would have been very few other people there. But now you've got people with phones and cameras.
That's the catch-22. If you're going off touring places, you're going to face more tourists.
Yes, and then you have to go off season. But then the World and His Brother has thought, do you know what? If we go off season, it would be better.
I don't have
and then
to
you
fight
find
with my rugby elbows to
exactly.
get anywhere.
I mean, London is another place that people from overseas want to go to, and they say, oh, we're going to go to Madame Tussauds, and we're going to go to the Tower of London. We're going to all these places, and I think, oh, you like queuing, do you? Come to England and queue. And I've worked at Madame.
The queuing capital of the world.
And I've worked at Madame Tussauds, not as a wax.
I do love Madame Tussauds.
I've been there like this.
No,
as a performer, entertaining because they open it up for corporate events in the evenings, and so I've been there. And you arrive whilst the last sort of session is in play with the public, and you see all these foreign tourists all lining up round the street. Sometimes huge long, and then they come in and they're pushed through, and they're looking at people. They've no idea who it is because the modeller was a bit off that day, and then they eventually go, and then of course I got in for free because I was entertaining, and you're looking at all these things and going, oh, Jimmy Savile, he just shouldn't really be here.
Well, you didn't know that back then.
Didn't know that back then, but there were all these wax. I'm sure he's been melted down since.
I remember seeing Darcy Bustle. Oh, I loved Darcy Bustle.
Who's Darcy Bustle?
She's a ballerina.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I used to have a book
with Darcy,
from her.
A pop-up book.
No, it was a basic learning how to ballet dance.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, cool. So that's interesting because you can go on knowledgeable courses, can't you, for a holiday? So people can go on a course, say, bivouacking or kayaking or diving, and I guess that goes into the adventurous thing, but nothing too adventurous, just a bit of fun. Go horse riding over the moors and things, and because a lot of people go Airbnb-ing, and I think those sort of things are lovely for couples, because if you don't know each other very well and you've not lived together for a length of time, if you're
it would certainly
roughing
give you a
it
good
a bit,
taste of what life together is like.
You discover, that your partner also passes wind, as indeed you might do. For the very first, yes, apparently that does happen. Even the Queen, apparently.
How very dare you.
I know it's extreme, really. So there's all of that.
Off with his head.
Off with his head.
Off with her backside.
Yes. So you never make that smell again. So those are places that good for couples. Where else is? So I mean, for example, I have been abroad. I've been to Germany and Spain and France and the Netherlands and to America. I've never been on the other side of the world to more exotic places. And they're all okay. I mean, a lot of it was for corporate stuff that I was doing, so I didn't see a lot. Although some of the corporate stuff, we were given cars like BMWs to drive, and I was driving in these sort of, BMWs, recent models of the BMW back then, and you would drive around, and you had a bit of time to go and explore places, which was interesting. But for me, I still have this love of England, as you all know.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
No, get out of
because
it.
I know a bit about the history of England, when I go different towns, and I used to do that with the corporate stuff that I used to do for radio stations and things, and you would go to lots of different places and you'd look at the architecture, and the architecture is so much based on the geology, whatever, and because the geology changes in England so quickly from pillar to post, you go to the Cotswolds and you see oolithic limestone, or you go to up north in Scotland to some of these the granite cities and things like that. Or you go into somewhere like Shropshire, where there's timber-framed houses and things, beautiful stuff like that. And it's the diversity of the architecture also then tells you about the lifestyle, the farming communities and the industrial communities and all that. And so I find England absolutely fascinating.
Likewise, I love England. But equally, there's other places around the world that I mean... Australia is on my bucket list. New Zealand. Your daughter Georgie's there, isn't she?
In New Zealand, on one of the islands. I forget which. She just told me.
South Island, isn't it?
She's on.
I can't remember either.
The touristy one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. I don't really know much about New Zealand.
No.
But the classical romantic places to go: Rome, Venice.
Yes.
It's
I wouldn't like
fantastic.
Venice.
But the architecture is, you know,
Yes.
for that alone, and as well as the art and things like that.
Yes, and you see
And the food.
Sorry. Well, yes, the food. You see, for me, I would love to go to somewhere like Venice, or I've been to Italy. I turned up again. It was a corporate job, but
Just
we
turned
had
up on the doorstep. And
turned up
Italy.
on the door and knocked on the door.
Hello, Italy.
Said,
I've
can I
come
come
to
in?
visit.
Hi, it's me busy. Come back later. We're making spaghetti. I have a bit of tomato. I don't know what.
You put the pineapple on the pizza.
Oh. Anyway, so this was a place, I can't even remember the name. It's something like Sacramento, but it wasn't Sacramento because that's in Portugal. But it was one of those sort of little places in the middle, and it was a port, and we were entertaining on a great big ship that had come into this tiny little port, and there was half a dozen of us. There was quite a lot of us, and we put up in this funny little hotel, and we'd flown in the morning, so we had most of the day to muck about in the town, in this little town, and then we had to perform in the evening. Anyway, that's all the irrelevant bit. But I said to the chaps that were with me, I said, let's go and have an Italian pizza, a real Italian pizza, and see whether it fits with what we have over here in England. And it was so different. The pizza was so thin, and it was such a disappointment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a disappointment because we have we've killed what a real pizza is like.
Yeah, we actually don't really know what.
And they,
Until
over
you
here
go
we
there.
shove in all these ridiculous toppings and things, and theirs is very basic and you would get used to it. It was more
Acclimatised.
it was sublime, and I'm sure it was very, very lovely. But it was of a time when you've got all these chain stores selling you what is supposedly a pizza or the original pizza, and then you actually go to somewhere
British equivalent.
Yes, and it's a humble thing, and it's a very humble thing, and it's good quality, but it was we sort of go, well, was that a pizza? That was a bit bland. And I remember talking to one of my viewers, Julio, years and years ago about Mexican food, and he came over and I think he had some chili con carne or something, and I made chili con carne in one of the podcasts or something, and he said it's nothing like that over in Mexico. The food I suppose it's the same with Indian. What's the Indian dish that we've invented?
Curries?
One of the curries that we've invented, that not vindaloo, but there's one. Is it balti or something
Tindaloo,
like that?
vindaloo.
Yeah,
Korma.
tinderbox. There's one that everybody has, and it's like.
Is it the really mild one?
I don't know. I don't know the name of it. It's like balti, something like that everybody has, but a tender or something. One of them, somebody will know. And it's not really a dish at all, but it's been invented over here, and everybody goes, yes, that's a curry, isn't it?
It's funny because when you say British food, actually there's quite a lot of British food that didn't originate here, but we've now put a British stamp on it.
Yes, it's almost as if
that's our version of that.
We don't have. I mean, you don't
Melting
go to France.
pot.
You don't go to France or Spain or Jamaica and say
get a roast beef.
Well, exactly. You don't have you got a British menu? They don't really do it, do they? No. And it's quite weird. And over here, you go to a restaurant, it's very hard to find somewhere that will do an English menu.
Unless it's specifically an English pub.
Unless it's an old-fashioned traditional pub down the lane in the middle of nowhere by an old village with a Motte and Bailey castle nearby. And then you might be lucky to get shepherd's pie. And then is it shepherd's pie or is it cottage pie? Which meat are they using in it? And all of that. It's very difficult because everything's... So that was my Italian... But the village, what was lovely about that is they just couldn't be asked to repair things, or they'd repair things in a very sort of lazy way, that sort of siesta way that Spanish people have. It's tired now, we can't be bothered. So everything, it was beautifully old. You didn't see what we've done over to this country, in which you go, oh, these buildings are a bit old, especially in the 1960s, where they just go, oh, it's an eyesore. We'll knock all this Victoriana down, and we'll put something else, or this Georgian building, and we'll put this ghastly 1960s. Fortunately, in this particular town, I don't know how true this is throughout Italy, and in Portugal, where I've been as well, it is very much these old buildings still there. Like you were saying in Vienna, in there, you haven't had that awful 60s modernisation where brutalist architecture came in with concrete and just got rid of all that beautiful Renaissance stuff that is around. So I would like to see it, but for me, I need to know a bit about the history so that when I look at the architecture, I can understand how it came about.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'd love to go to Rome, because obviously we know a small bit about Rome and Romans.
Yes.
Ancient
Places like
Romans.
the Colosseum.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, because of the fact that they came here and
yes.
left a lot of things here, like
Put some roads in and things. Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, I'm staggered if ever I see images in Rome of how incredibly busy it is, and then you see these bits of Roman architecture, and then of course you've got all the modern stuff all built around it, and so it's a bit like St Paul's. If you go up to London, and I'm sure visitors to London, they go up to London, they imagine St Paul's is sort of laid out in a bit like Versailles, in big gardens and stuff. And you actually found it's crammed in to London, because everything is crammed into London.
You almost need a crowbar to hoik it out just to get in.
So it's just like, you almost want it like a stingray thing where, or Thunderbirds, where it just raise up so you could actually see it from all angles. Go, that's what it is, and then lower it.
Feed the Thunderbirds, tuppence a bag. Sorry. Every time you say anytime I hear the word St
Paul's, you think of...
I think of those scenes from Mary Poppins, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So holidays as a couple, I think it's, what we haven't spoken about, and time is running thin now, is the benefit from a couple of being away together, out of the normal humdrum of life and working and being ships in the night and all of that, where you are together trying to experience a shared event.
And just cherishing that time.
Yeah, cherishing that time.
You're not constantly pulled away or distracted from it.
So even for us, going back to where we were at the beginning of this, on the Thames, that we'd had recently, that's such a lovely experience. It didn't really matter. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter where we were. We were together.
Absolutely.
Self-contained, so whether that's a hotel or, in our case, a boat, on the Thames, experiencing something on that shared experience. And yes, we made videos, so we've got memories of it, but often people do these days, selfies and little videos. So I think as a couple it's very important to get away and do those things together, because life
is short.
Yeah, I think life is very short, and often these days, with everybody having to work and the amount of money we have to make just to stand still, we are ships in the night. And so getting away. So I'd be interested to know...
where do you like to go?
Where other people go.
Other half.
Yeah. And is it different? Of course it is. When you go with each other, or on your own somewhere, or indeed with children. The whole holiday experience is a different thing.
Do you have to compromise with your partner to when choosing where to go, or do you both happen to...
Does one say, I'm going to sit by the pool, when the other one says, well, I'm going off to jet ski?
Yeah.
Where is jet ski, by the way? I understand a lot of people go there. And dangerous holidays, skiing holiday. I've never been on a skiing holiday for fear of breaking a leg and then not being able to work.
Yeah.
But when you're self-employed, it's put me off a number of holidays that I might get injured. I know a lot of people don't, but when you're the head of the family, as I was, I couldn't go on a skiing. People going, we're going skiing. We're going to go. Yeah, it'd be lovely. But if I break a leg, or
I can't go out and entertain people.
I can't earn a living, and so then it becomes difficult. Anyway, we've run out of time. It goes so quickly. But thank you very much for watching, and let's hope that we get some interesting responses.
Looking forward to reading your comments.
Take care, and ta-ta.
Bye.